Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the
I'm only
balance in
soft when I like somebody. The rest of y'all get this gangster shit, bitch.
Story that sounds completely unbelievable, but is entirely.
If you scare easily, go ahead and exit right now. When my grandmother was in hospice, she hospiced under the care of my mom and my aunt in this home. As it got closer to the end, my grandma would kind of swat and be like, do you see them? Do you see them? They're just flying all around me. They're flying all around me. She would also say that she sees a man in the corner. One day my mother was in the bathroom doing her hair and my aunt was going to the store. While my mom was in the bathroom doing her hair, she felt a huge gust of wind, as if like somebody was like walking by and walking through our hallway, and they're walking fast and like with a purpose, like startled my mom. Then she peeked outside the door and she's calling for my aunt. She's like, Pat, is that you? And it wasn't my aunt. And then it happened again and she sees somebody like walking by and my mom was like, what the heck is going on? My mom just gets this really weird feeling and she goes into my grandma's room and she's like, hey mom, are you okay? And my grandma was like, did you see him? And my mom was like, yeah mom, I saw him. He starts speaking to it, starts saying, hey, I think I know who you are. We're not ready for her to go. And my mom said that it was a cloaked figure, like a pale cloaked figure with like a button-up shirt with a high collar, like ruffled high collar up to here, ruffles on the sleeves, and like a hat that Abraham Lincoln used to wear, like a top hat. Like a few days passed. My grandma is watching Judge Judy because that's what my grandma loved, Judge Judy. And my mom is in there and Judge Judy had just gone off and my mom goes in there.
Anybody else ever seen the top hat man? He just been visiting everybody, huh?
She's like, hey mommy. Asked my grandma if she wants to watch the Today Show now because Gladys Knight and the Pips are going to be performing. And my mom has her back turned to my grandma and my grandma's back here laying down. And my mom says, she's like, hey mom, do you want to watch the Today Show? Gladys Knight and the Pips are on. And my grandma said, no, he's here. And my mom says, who's here, mom? And when my mom turned around, my grandma had passed. Like my grandma was dead. She was gone. She said, no, he's here. And she was gone. It was the angel of death. Angel of death came and took her soul. Yeah, he's here.
I don't like that whole took your soul saying, but I don't know. Everybody keeps saying that they see the top hat man in astral projection and stuff. So that's definitely one for the books. I hope our grandmother has a safe passage. Welcome back to another video, y'all. I wanted to give y'all an update on that little project that I was working on, and it is about to be released on May 23rd. Now, in order to be able to see this project, you will be going to my VIP status membership on my page. You should be able to see it on my channel after I post this video. In this membership, you will have badges that you will be receiving for how long you continue to stay in my YouTube page. Members only live chat, first response comments from me. You will get to see my video reactions earlier than the people who are in public. I'm looking for ways that I can do a movie night with y'all. In this subscription, you will also get singing bowl sessions from me that heal all 7 of your chakras and bring you into alignment. And when you subscribe, you also get to participate into an auction that I do every single month, and somebody will get $100. I think I covered all of it. You should be able to see it after this video. So that was the longest introduction I ever did on any of these videos. Let's just get straight into it. Thank you for listening. And let's continue to look at these stories.
Tell me a ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable, but is entirely true. I'll go.
The time a ghost beat up my uncle because he was a horrible person. Yeah, true story. I was a little kid. I was around 8 years old. I was up in my room playing, and this man came upstairs with his little demonic looking eyes. He always looked like something was wrong with him. You know, you see people and they just look like they're up to no good by their eyes. He was just one of those people. He's one of my mother's younger siblings, close in age to my older siblings. Anyway, I don't think I was intentionally left home with him, but anyway, he was the only person up in the house besides me. He came up those stairs as he had done once before, and he came up there with ill intentions. And this time around, I had backup. I was so scared, but a spirit snatched his butt up. I seen him when he got close to me. It snatched him and grabbed him and tossed him up into my closet. It pushed the door shut. The door did not have a handle. It just had this little shoestring. It was a shoestring tied through a little hole in the door where you open and close it. There wasn't even room for a handle on the door. Now that I think about it, it was just this little string. But it locked him up in that closet, and it beat his tail. It sounded like a boxing match, UFC match up in there. He was screaming, he was hollering, he was pleading, he was begging for help. He was begging to get out of there. Eventually, my mother came home, and I think one of my brothers, and they heard the commotion, and they came upstairs, and, they're trying to figure out what's going on. They let him out the closet. He was pale, like all the skin. He was a very dark-skinned man, but he looked like he had seen a ghost. All this color had ran from his body, but he had bruises everywhere. Like he had been beat with fists or buckles. It looked really bad, but his actual skin tone, he of course was frightened, but that man ran about that house and he never stepped foot in the house a day after that. So yeah, a ghost actually protected me as a child. Seems crazy, but it is an absolute true story.
Justice. That's all I can say for that one is justice. Justice. That's all it is. Justice. Justice. This one is a dream, y'all, but it got like 1 million views.
I never tell the story because no one ever believes me, and also I kind of question my own sanity. I'll be like, did that really happen? But I know that happened. I saw a girl story time on here, and it just validated my whole experience because she said this happens a lot in Illinois. So I'm from Chicago, the east side, and around the time that this happened, I was like 16. I remember just getting my license, and I was so excited because I finally got a taste of freedom. I could do whatever I want. I can go wherever I want, and I was so excited. But my mom gave me 11:30 curfew. So I was like the type of person who would like wait until the very last minute to leave wherever I was at to try to get home on time at 11:30. So I remember I was just leaving my friend's house and I was almost home, y'all. Like I was like right around the corner from my house. So if you guys are familiar with Chicago, you might know where CVS High School is. So I was like on 87th. I was right by CVS, and then I remember turning left, right? And I turned left and I was driving straight, and it was like I said, it was like around 11:30, so it was dark outside, and I looked and I saw a humongous animal. Like it was I don't know if it was a panther or a tiger. It definitely wasn't a tiger. It was like a big huge animal. And when I say like I almost shit my pants, like I was like I froze in the car, and I was at a stop sign when I looked over and I saw it, and he was just walking, and when I stopped, it looked at me, and like we locked eyes, and then I just kept driving. I was like, oh my God, like I had to get home because I need to make my curfew or I was gonna get beat up and I was gonna get in trouble. So I was like, let me just try to get home and forget about that, right? And I was like, I'm gonna like tell my mom when I get home, right? And so I got home. My mom was livid because I missed curfew, and I didn't even end up telling her. I remember telling my friends the next day, and nobody believed me. So I remember like looking up, did an animal escape from the zoo? I found nothing on that. And like I said, like I lived in the city, so it wasn't normal for us to see like huge, ginormous panthers or whatever the case may be, whatever animal that was. It wasn't normal to see stuff like that at all. And I don't know, like to this day, I always think like, what was that? Like, it was so strange. Like, it was such a strange looking animal, like something an animal I've never seen before, an animal I don't even know if it exists. So yeah, y'all, like,
yo, man, this thing right here gonna mess y'all head up, bro. All since I heard this, my head been jacked up, man. So we gonna all sharing the feeling, man. This guy, it's a recording. He finna tell y'all how this lady went from this to this. And these pictures was taken at the same day, less than 24 hours apart.
So she was one of the first black women to be a cop. And all through the hood, man, we just, everybody knew her growing up. And it just, we just never thought that, she would decide to, go that route. Real smart girl, I'm talking about real smart, real intelligent. Always can figure stuff out, whatever came out of which she She solve it, help you with it. She know how to work on cars. She knew how to, do little stuff around the house. She knew how to cook, clean, like just knew everything. But now all her women's in her family, they was all, maids, did work around the houses of rich white peoples and stuff like that. But now, she said she didn't want to go that route. She wanted to be a cop. She wanted to have some power. She wanted to stand for something. And not that being a maid or something, it's just, you don't stand for nothing, but just in her mind, you young, you want to make a change, you want to be, so that's the way she felt. So she went out there and got that job, and it was good for her, like, she even got some little respect around the office. Now, I heard she had to bust a couple of them good old boys' heads, but eventually they learned to respect her. But now one night, she was out in a car with her partner. Now all of a sudden, they get a call. Now her partner, he responded to it, he driving, she in the passenger seat. So down there get there, it's an old warehouse. An old warehouse abandoned. And supposedly there's some screams or something like that coming up out the warehouse. So they get there and they stand around and, they look around. And her partner ain't really want to go in. But this lady here, she wasn't scared of nothing. I guess growing up in the ghetto just, make it a little tougher than the average. But this is sad ending to this story. And this is what she looked like after they found her this night.
A ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable, but is entirely.
So my mom got this house in this town, and the house was huge. So I'm gonna give y'all the display of the house. It was the living room. You open the front door, it's the living room, my mom's room, a den, and my sister's room. So there's a glass door. Behind the glass door is a kitchen. It's a room on the left-hand side, a bath, a restroom, and then you have another door on the right-hand side of the kitchen. This is the second part of the house. You have the washing machine, the dryer, the back door, and it's a screen door. It's like a little sitting area and a screen door. Then you have a bathroom, and then you have my room, which consists of a den and my room. So my room is like one big-ass room. So y'all, I had my music playing. All the lights was off in the whole house because like at this time I was like the man of the house type of situation, bitch queen of the house, whatever. So so y'all, I had turned all the lights off. My sisters and my mom was straight up front, so I shut both of the doors, the front door to the kitchen and then the second door going back to my part of the house. In my room, vibing, lights turned off, music playing, in the bed chilling. So I hear my mama call my name, and it was like 4 or 5 times. So I turn my music off. I'm like, yes, yes, ma'am. What you need, mom? Never heard nothing. So shit, I'm like, let me turn my damn music back on. Obviously, it wasn't that important. That's how I was feeling at the time. Y'all, I turn my music back on, and they can't hear in the front of the house what I have going on. I could have a whole fucking house full of friends in the house. Nobody would know it. So I turn my music back on, y'all, and I hear my mama scream my name. So I'm like, at this point, let me get the fuck up and go see what's really going on, because something going on. Y'all, I opened my room door, and the screen door where the back door is was like, boom. As soon as I opened my door. That shit set me in a frenzy. So I turned the light on, looked outside the back door, y'all. The screen door was locked from the inside in. Like somebody in the house had to lock it, and the back door was locked. So that was the first red flag that threw me off. Mind you, my room and stuff is still dark, and the music is still playing, but it's low. The only light on is the light in this hallway. So I opened the door to go through the kitchen, the first door, and then I opened the second door to get to the front of the house. Y'all, I went in my mama's room, I'm like, girl, this is how we talk to each other. I'm like, girl, you keep calling my name. What's going on? Like, you got me back there scared. What's going on? Because I keep hearing you say my name. Yeah, my mama turned around. She was on her phone. She turned around, looked at me. She said, I have not called your fucking name. These are her exact words. I have not called your fucking name. If I needed you, I would have called your phone, or I would have walked back there. I know you said you was playing your music. So we were staring at each other, just looking at each other like something ain't right. So I was like, Mom, I'm telling you, I heard somebody saying my name and it was your voice. Like, please don't tell me that wasn't you. And I kept saying, ma'am, She was like, next time you hear something like that, just come up here and call me on the phone and see if it was me. She was like, don't answer to, because we have this thing, and y'all, I got chill bumps. I'm sorry, I keep pausing. We have this thing where ghosts are real. Like, let's just say that spirits are real. Like, we believe that spirits were real. So I went back to the back of the house, y'all. The doors that I had open to get back to my room, the 2 doors in the kitchen were fucking closed. The light that I turned on in the hallway was off, and my room door was closed when I left it open. Why the fuck, when I got back to the back of the house, y'all, my room door was closed, that light was off, the 2 kitchen doors was closed, and the goddamn lights in my room were on, and the speaker was loud as fuck. The gaming system on, the computer on, both of the TVs in the den, like the commons den area, and my room, like everything was on loud as fuck. Y'all, I ran back to the front of the fucking house so fucking fast. Like, excuse my language, but I got chill bumps, and oh, it's bothering me. What the fuck? And when I walked back, I didn't walk, I was running back to the front of the house. I felt something like behind me. You know, like somebody walking behind you, you can feel it. I felt like something on me, behind me. I could not turn around. I was scared it was gonna get me. Like, is that scary? Is that not scary? Like, what the fuck?
Tell me a ghost story.
Ever hear the story about a black woman who was hung for dating white men and decided to haunt a whole park for all of eternity? Get your popcorn. This story takes place in Atchison, Kansas, a very small and very, very haunted town. So haunted, I'm going to do a whole separate video on this town. Jackson's Park is sort of like a lover's lane. The woman in this story's name is Molly, and Molly fell in love with a white man. And this said white man, who remains unnamed, was in love with her. Of course, their love was forbidden back then, and so they had to sneak around in secrecy. How the townspeople found out that she was dating a white man is unknown. Hell, a lot of this story is really unknown. There's no pictures of Molly. There's not a lot of information online. But what we do know is that the townspeople found out about this love affair between a black woman and a white man. So in true colonizer fashion, the townspeople kidnapped Molly in the middle of the night, took her to Jackson's Park, and hung her. Now, the townspeople probably thought this was going to be the end of the story. They hung the Caucasian Levin, but this is where spiritual reparation kicked in. Ever since this happened, this town has been haunted as hell. I don't know why. Nobody knows why. But people that stroll this at night hear the cries of a woman. Some see a full apparition. Some see her roaming throughout the park. Some have also reported seeing a ghostly apparition of a black woman hanging from this said tree that they did this to her at. So much so that they renamed the park Molly's Hollow. Now, there are 2 stories that are floating around the internet. One saying that it was a black woman that was hung for dating white men. The other says that it was just an abusive relationship and she was white and her boyfriend decided to hang her one night. But it still remains that people aren't seeing a white woman walk around this park. They are seeing a black apparition. So I'm inclined to believe that this story about Molly being a black woman who dates white men is true, because none of the reports say that they see a white apparition. People love to go to this park at night, I guess, to get spooked or to try to see the apparition of Molly. If you're ever in Atchison, Kansas, be my guest. My hopes for Molly is that she's somehow, some way freed from her hell. But until then, sis, go ahead and...
Ghost story? That sounds completely unbelievable, but is entirely true. I'll go first.
All right, so I want to hop on this trend, and I just want to say that this story is not my story; it's my father's story. And mind you, my father is not even big on paranormal stuff at all. So he said that. So basically, he was with one of his longtime friends, and this happened in their, I would say, late 40s, early 50s. So one of his friends' father had passed away, and so basically, he said that he had went to go visit his friend. Now, mind you, his friend lived with his father in the house. It was like a 3-story house. So a few months go by after his father has passed away. So my father goes there and, just to go visit to see how he's doing. And he said that they're talking downstairs on the first floor in the living room. Now, mind you, they're just talking about the father, reminiscing and stuff. So also, I do want to point out the father, he is a guitarist. Like, he plays the guitar. He was a musician. So this is just one of the key points in the story. So he said that they're reminiscing, they're chopping it up about the old times and you know, his father. And then all of a sudden his friend goes, "Shh, you hear that?" And my father was just like, they could have sworn that they heard the dad's guitar playing on the second floor in one of the rooms. All right, so when they got quiet, they didn't hear anything. So they continued to talk because they brushed it off. They were just like, whatever. So they continued to chop it up and whatever. And then all of a sudden they hear it again. And this time they hear it like clearly. So my father's friend was like, no, let me go, you know, see what's going on. Like, so they go up to the second floor. And then as they're getting closer to the room where they kept his father's stuff, the guitar playing gets louder and louder. So when they got to the door and the friend like opens the door and then the guitar playing completely stops. It was just like dead silence. So they both look at each other like, what the hell? And then all of a sudden, like he said that they heard somebody, it sounded like somebody was running back and forth on the third floor. So my father's friend was like, I think somebody broke in my house or something like that. And my father was just like, nah, I don't think that's anybody breaking in your house. So they end up go checking on the third floor to see if this, you know, if there was anybody there or whatever, or somebody broke in. And there was nobody on the third floor. There was nobody in the house. So after that, immediately my father left right after that because that freaked him out. And he was just like, he don't believe in the paranormal. So that was just like a weird experience to him. But yeah, he said that was his last time visiting him at that house because he was like so freaked out. But yeah, that's my little ghost story. It's not really scary. It's more so like, I don't know, if you want to call it scary, you can. But I found that, I don't know, I think that was really like, I mean, that would freak me out.
You should always listen when your parents tell you to stay out of a certain room. Story time. This story was submitted by Maria. I went ahead and tagged her down below. This story took place in Jordan when Maria was a child. Her mom, her brothers, and relatives were visiting her grandparents' house. Quick little side note, Maria's grandparents' house was built over a cemetery back in the 1800s. At about 8 p.m., the adults decided to leave the house and go visit a family friend while the kids stayed behind. At first, everything was perfectly fine. The kids were playing board games, doing anything to stay occupied since the internet was down. That was until one of the older cousins had the bright idea of putting a cell phone into the second living room. This home had 2 separate living rooms. Now, this second living room was known for having a lot of paranormal activity, so it was forbidden for the children to enter that room. Their plan was to set the phone in the room, leaving it recording a video to see what they could see. This is when things took a really wrong turn. About 6 minutes after they placed the phone in the room, they started to hear knocking and what sounded like groaning noises. One of the older kids told the younger kids to run into the kitchen and to start to pray the Quran. They played the TV on loud and started to repeat verses from the Quran over and over again, when out of nowhere the TV completely shuts off and they hear a loud gasp. At this point, Maria loses it. Mind you, she's 9 years old and she starts to do what she knows best, and that is to cry. Maria then convinces the rest of the kids to go into her grandmother's room and hide in there. So all of the kids agree and they run. They shut the door and they sit in there and pray. About 15 minutes later, they started to hear loud thuds and footsteps coming from the hallway. This went on for what felt like forever. At about 3 a.m., the adults made it home. When they got home, they started to question the kids as to why all of the lights in the house were completely off. And why was the bathroom door wide open? The kids were completely confused because no one had turned off any of the lights and no one had touched the bathroom door. Now that the adults were home, the kids felt brave enough to go into that second living room and grab the phone to see what they recorded. When they decide to watch the video, they speed it up and they can clearly see a man slowly making his way towards the phone. And then a woman coming out of the corner looking completely beaten up, groaning in pain and walking towards the phone as well. They realized that this was the groaning sound that they were hearing, and then the man walking like slowly like that was the thud that they also kept hearing. When they showed the video to the adults, they were completely terrified. It has now been 7 years since this took place, and no one till this day will dare speak of that day. This is why you should always...
Do you have a support system?
Yeah.
Who's your support system?
Nobody. It's a ghost.
Your support system is a ghost.
Yeah. It's right in front of you.
It's right in front of me?
Yeah, it's right there, right there. In the closet.
Malaysia, there's nothing in my closet.
He's a ghost.
What does he look like?
Nothing.
He doesn't look like nothing?
He's just a ghost. You can't see him.
But you can see him.
Yeah.
And he's in my closet?
Yeah.
Is he tall?
No, short. Just like me. 5 years old, must be 6.
He's 5.
Yeah.
Wait. Hold on, wait, what? He's how old?
5.
And he's about to be 6?
Yeah. Ghost. He looks just like me.
Okay. Can you step out for a moment?
Yeah.
Wait, do you see him all the time?
No, just one time.
Just one time?
Yeah.
When?
Now.
Okay. Alright, step out for just a second, okay?
Close the door.
Mm-hmm. I had a baby that would have been 6 years old right now. It was right before her.
Can I come back in?
Not yet. It was right before her. She wouldn't have known that.
Oh, y'all want some more stories, huh? So I feel like my last two have been kind of heavy. So this one we're gonna lighten it up a little bit, but we're still in a long-term care setting. Yeah. So the main thing I miss about working in long-term care is the fact that I was able to build relationships with my residents. The nursing facility literally becomes their home, whether their family members have to drop them off, whether they don't have any family members left, whatever the case may be, this is now their home. I always did my best to respect their space, whether that was their room, to just respect the building in a whole, because like I said, that's their home. Over time, I began to learn their routine, what they liked, what they didn't like, and I took a liking to this older gentleman. We'll just call him Max. Max woke up 5 o'clock every morning and he always wanted his black coffee with 6 sugars. Before I started working 11 to 7, I made sure to tell the overnight shift to have his coffee ready because that was just part of his routine. When working with people with dementia and Alzheimer's, even in the early stages, you want to keep their routine because any change in their routine literally sets them off. I would go in and sit down and talk with Max anytime I had some extra time. Instead of going and taking a break, I would literally just go sit in his room and eat my lunch or whatever. He would tell me all of his stories about his life. I believe that Max was about 80 years old, so he had a lot of stories. He told me that he was a veteran. I want to say that he served in World War II, but I don't want to be wrong, but I do know that he was in combat and he was a veteran. He did fight for our country. He would tell me all the time about his wife Josie and how they met in high school. They were high school sweethearts. They fell in love a little bit after he graduated high school. That's when he enlisted in the military. When he enlisted, he almost immediately went off to combat. So he had to kiss his new bride goodbye and he went off for a year. When he came back, they wanted to work on a family, and I believe they ended up having 3 boys. Somewhere along the line, Max ended up getting injured in combat and he had to get his right leg amputated. After he got his leg amputated, he was discharged, a medical discharge, and sent home. Him and his wife went on to live a beautiful life until she was diagnosed with breast cancer, and unfortunately it took her life. I remember one day I went in and he was like, yeah, last night this beautiful woman with long dark hair and really soft brown eyes came to visit me. I took a note of it. I put it in the chart because if you work in long-term care, if you know, you know. Once they start seeing people, usually the time is wrapping up.
This went on for days. I'll say at least 3 to 4 days. He kept talking about this woman. Every time I came in, he kept talking about this woman visiting him, sitting at the end of his bed, rubbing his back, all types of stuff. So I joked and I said, well, maybe you should follow her. Maybe you should see where she's going. He says, well, she comes and she puts me to sleep, and when I wake up, she's gone. I remember one day I went in and I saw people coming out of his room with boxes. When I went in, they had told me that he had passed away in his sleep the night before and that they were packing up his room. Since that was supposed to be my resident, they asked if I could help pack up his stuff to send it to his family. When I went to open the drawer in the nightstand, there was a picture of a woman that looked exactly like what he described to me. The back of the picture said, "Love yours, Josie." This story is a little sweeter, and I just hope that she came back to get her husband, or he was the last face that he saw when he died in his sleep peacefully. Oh, y'all want cheese? Cheese. What you doing? What you see? What? What you see? Who are you saying hi to? Who are you saying hi to? Dude, you need to stop that. You're freaking me out. Come on.
SpongeBob night.
SpongeBob off.
Liam, come here. Liam, right now. What is happening? Okay, I'm calling your mom. Just stay right here.
I'm only soft when I like somebody. The rest of y'all get this gangster shit, bitch.